Hey guys, for this video I thought I would cover something because I'm subscribed to and watch a channel which isn't going to be around for very long. It is a Markiplier co-op channel with crank gameplays called Unus Annus, which literally translate to 1 year. So the channel's only going to be around for a year, and then they're going to delete everything off of it. So obviously they don't want people re-uploading their videos and that, which is fine. I'm doing a reaction one anyway, so I'm only going to include small clips, which are allowed to do. But I needed to react to it because as soon as I saw it, I was like, there's some things that should not have been said that I need to comment on. And it is the video where they decide to pierce themselves at home. Something that I don't like, obviously, as a trained piercer back in the day. You shouldn't pierce yourself at home. I mean, professionals do pierce themselves at home, but even they shouldn't really do it at home by themselves because stuff can go wrong. I mean, it's not the worst video of like home piercings that I've seen, but there was some things that annoyed me about it. So yeah, I thought I'd do a reaction video to the bits that annoy me the most. So let's watch the first bit, which is at the beginning of the video, obviously.
Don't do this at home. We're doing it because...
Well, we shouldn't say don't do this at home, because obviously people have been piercing their ears at home for a long time. Do this with the right understanding of what you're doing, as clean as possible, because obviously if you get any kind of cut or anything like piercing your body, infections are a concern. It's a big concern, like it can cause problems and it can...
Okay, first of all, when Ethan said, don't do this at home, Mark should have said, yeah. Don't do this at home. I don't know why he said, well, we can't say, don't do this at home. You can do this at home, but do it safely and as clean as possible. Even if you do it as clean as you possibly can, you're still doing it at home. It's not going to be as clean in a sterile environment like it is at a professional piercing studio or tattoo piercing studio. So that annoyed me quite a bit. I mean, he did touch on the fact that, like, you possibly could get an infection, which is very true. But it's not just the process of how you do it. It's obviously aftercare as well. And so many other factors, which I think come up in this video. So that kind of annoyed me a little bit. Because he shouldn't have said that. He shouldn't be encouraging people to do it at home at all. That should have definitely not been said at all. Right, next clip is this one.
Yeah, what needles are we supposed to use?
So the main thing is the needle needs to be slightly bigger than the jewelry that you plan on putting in it.
Yeah.
For earlobes, they can be a lot thinner than like a body piercing. You can use a thicker needle.
This is 18 gauge, this is 12 gauge. Also, it should be known that if you can use an actual sterile needle that's meant for this kind of thing, you could use a safety pin, I guess.
Or the gun.
Yeah.
We have the gun here, but I don't think we're going to use it. This is just in case we can't do it ourselves. With this, we have backup.
Also, I mean, this is kind of a given, but if you don't like needles or blood or anything, then don't watch this
Okay,
video.
right. So that part really annoyed me. They've got actual piercing needles, which is like a step up from most home piercing videos. They come in the little packets that are, in theory, because they're in the packets, they should be cleaned and like sterile, ready to use. Obviously that's not a guarantee, and I would still like clean them before you use them. But at least they had the needles there. They had two different measurements, and he did mention the gauge of the needles, which is something that I think, again, I'll come up to later. But then he mentions the fact that they have a gun there as well as a backup. You shouldn't use a gun. Don't use a gun, because it will cause blunt force trauma. I've mentioned that in my other commenting video about piercing at home. Don't use the gun. It causes blunt force trauma. It's not good for you. You can damage cartilage, and that's not what it is. It's a cartridge for a piercing gun. It's not a piercing gun. It's essentially like trying to pierce your ear with a stapler. It's that stupid, and I don't recommend it. He also mentioned that you can use a safety pin. I don't know why he said that. He didn't need to say that. There was no need to even mention anything like that. Don't use a safety pin, because obviously, as I've said before, I think it came up in the last commentary video that I did about piercing at home. If you use stuff like that, they're not always metal, they're not always stainless steel, and people tend to do that stupid thing where they burn it with a lighter to clean it and make sure it's clean and sterile. It doesn't work. And like I said, it could be coated in something, it could be plastic to look like metal, it could be anything, because obviously it's a safety pin. It's cheap, it's cheerful, it pins your clothes together. That's what it's meant for. So it could be made out of anything, and you just set fire to whatever casing is on that thing, whatever spray paint they might have used to make it silver. You don't know what's on it. You don't know what it's made of. It might not be stainless steel. And you just burnt it, and then you can stick it through your flesh. I mean, you might as well just pay someone to give you an infection. I don't understand. I just don't understand why people do that. It just doesn't make any sense when you could, pay someone who knows what they're doing to do it for you with the right equipment. But anyway, yeah, don't use safety pins or any other pins or needles, I mean, just don't do it at home. Right, next clip.
Oops.
These are all stainless steel or titanium. This is
Important for the first.
It's least likely to cause any kind of irritation.
Oh,
I got a barbell set.
I got little studs. They're little diamonds. No, they're real diamonds.
I consider you guys really nice earrings, and then
Tiny.
So with that clip, my issue is obviously the fact that they do have apparently the proper jewellery there, because she says it's stainless steel. Because most jewellery that you get online, especially the fun stuff that's like different colours and whatever, they will not be stainless steel. They'll be coated in something, they'll be cheap metal, they'll be plastic even. They literally can be anything. And obviously, because you've just pierced your ear, it's going to be healing around that jewellery. So if it's cheap and cheerful, and it's coated in anything, it's going to cause an infection, because it's going to irritate your ear while it's trying to heal, or anywhere else that you pierce. It's going to irritate it. They mentioned studs. You shouldn't pierce your ears or anything with a stud. I think I'll probably comment more on that later. So yeah, that's another issue. Next one.
Oh my gosh. Right there.
I'm more nervous about this than me piercing.
Okay, so there he did wipe his ear down with what I assume was a sterile wipe, like an alcohol-based one. But then he decided to mark his ear with a Sharpie. When a piercer marks your ear to pierce you, it is usually, and it should be, a skin marker, which doesn't cause any irritation and isn't the kind of ink that could even remotely potentially give you ink poisoning. Obviously, a Sharpie is full of different chemicals because it's designed to be able to write and draw on most materials. I mean, it's going to go into the wound. It's not a good idea. So that was silly. Next clip.
Okay, so now you put that on the end of this, right? And you push it all the way through. Get the nubbins ready. So you push that through with that on the end. Don't stab me in the neck. And then just make sure that goes all the way through. That feels funny. Okay, now hold it there and then attach the nubbins. You did it. Hey, good. You're a champ. You're a real tough guy. Okay.
Okay, obviously the problem with these clips is the fact, like I said, he did mention the fact that he might catch his neck. Obviously there's main arteries in your neck, so you probably shouldn't be doing that. But also the fact that he did thread it through. I think I mentioned that in my last video, because if you're not using the correct needles, they're not hollow in the end. Those types, there's different types. Most piercing needles, like the professional ones, not necessarily these ones that they've got. I don't know what ones they've got. But professional ones, they'll usually have a cannula, you know, the plastic casing, so that when they put the jewelry, when they put the needle through, they can take it out straight away. But the plastic casing stays through your ear, and then they'll thread the jewelry through that. These ones seem to be the hollow-based ones, which means that you can thread the jewelry through the bottom and put it through, because that's another mistake that people make, where they will pierce whatever they're piercing, and then they'll pull it all the way through, and then they'll try and ram the jewelry in afterwards, and obviously that's nearly impossible, because the second that you take that needle out of that ear, it's going to be trying to repair itself, and they can never get it through, and then you're forced to, well, most people stupidly try and re-pierce themselves to get it through. Not a good idea. Right, next clip.
Oh, man.
You alright?
Yeah,
It's cute.
It's cute.
It's cute. I mean, the diamond is a strong statement, I will say, but it's cute.
Well, I was gonna do hoop.
I mean, you could still do it. You could switch it out.
No, he stole it. I picked it up.
Okay, right, the problem with this, and I touched on it slightly earlier, is the fact that he's used a stud straight away in his ear. When you're piercing in general, you shouldn't do that. You should have, because most studs are not, they're not the right material to go through your flesh, should I say, not just your ear. But also, they obviously have the butterfly clip on the back, and they're not particularly long bars. And if you've just pierced your ear and then you're putting a stud in, when you've put the butterfly clip in, and to be fair, most pictures that you'll find of like piercings gone wrong, and they have the keloid scarring on the back or whatever, it's usually because the ear has overgrown the piercing, and swallowed the back of the stud, and that is because obviously they're quite short, they're not long enough to compensate for the swelling. So then your ear will just be like, okay, I'll just grow around this whole thing that shouldn't be here, and that's when you have problems. You can use like barbells. Most piercers prefer to use rings, like the ball closure rings, because obviously it doesn't matter how much your ear will swell. Generally, if you've got a decent sized ring in, it's shaped right for that swelling, and it won't, chew it up, and you can get it in and out quite easily. So yeah, that was an issue. The other issue that I have with that clip is the fact that Amy says, oh, it looks cute, and he was like, well, I wanted the hoop, but he took it, and she says, well, you could always change it. No. Once you've had your ear pierced with the jewelry that you're supposed to have in it, you're supposed to leave it for at least, they'll give you their own recommendation usually of a set amount of weeks that you should leave them in for before you even think about changing them. That is so that your skin can heal and you're not irritating it. If he decided to then change it to the hoop from a stud, it would irritate it so much. It would not be a good idea at all. So that annoyed me. I think he does say that he's not going to keep it in, so I guess I can let him off for that, but if he does decide to keep it in, it could cause issues.
It's a huge one, yeah.
Yeah, we could go for the eyebrow or something.
Yeah, we got it,
What's the
actually.
tongue?
Nope.
Oh, you have a peanut allergy. Yeah, we gotta go through the tongue.
Okay, obviously in that clip, well, I say obviously, they were joking. I hope they were joking when she says about we should pierce your tongue, because people seem to think that they can just pierce their tongue at home. You can't. To be fair, with most parts of the flesh, you should always double check that you haven't got some weird, like, vein issues going on, or, you know, whatever. But especially with a tongue, your tongue has got a main artery through it. So if you even clip, like, the wrong vein or the artery going through your tongue, you could bleed out and you could die. I don't get why people think it's a good idea to try and pierce your tongue, which is hard anyway, because it's essentially a muscle. You know, it's not easy. They think they can just do it themselves at home, unsupervised, not by a professional, and I don't understand it. So yeah, that annoyed me, because some people are not going to think that that's a joke, which I hope it was. I'm pretty sure it was. And they're going to think, oh yeah, I never thought of that. I could pierce my tongue if I got those. And you could have serious issues. Next clip.
Okay, we're through.
Cool.
Just like that. Easy peasy.
So how do we do this one?
Oh, same thing.
Okay.
Yeah, stick it on the end there, and then, ooh, not in the neck.
Oh, do you want to take the clamp out?
Oh, yeah, that would help. There we go.
The clamp was the most painful part.
Again, he nearly clipped his neck. He went for a ring, so that was a bit smarter. Again, it threaded through the back, and he popped it straight through. As he said, the clamp is probably more painful because he probably didn't apply it right, to be fair. I mean, they have to have a good grip on whatever they're piercing anyway, if they're a good piercer. So, yeah, it does kind of hurt more than the piercing, to be fair, because the piercing is quick and easy and done. And then it's just like a stinging pain afterwards while it's healing. But if you look after it, obviously it's not that bad. But yeah, again, with nearly clipping the neck. It seemed like they did do some research, so I don't know how they missed all of these points that I've pointed out. But for some reason, you know, I thought I'd better do it. Because they just didn't, for some reason, they just went ahead and mentioned all of those things anyway. You know, all the stuff that you're not really supposed to do or say, or, you know, in a video like that. For some reason they decided to do that, and I don't know why. So yeah, I had to make this video because it annoyed me quite a bit. Because, alright, it's only going to be up for a year, but there's a lot of people well, I say a year, obviously we're coming to the end of the year that the channel's been around. I think there's only 50 odd days left, because they do a timer at the end of each video, and I think at the end of that one it was like 50 days left before they're going to delete the channel. But there's still 50 days that kids are going to watch it and try it. You know, they're going to listen to them and not understand the risks. So yes, I just wanted to point those things out, because you've got to be careful with it, but also you should just go to a professional. Just go to a professional. Why would you not go to a professional? It's not that expensive to get a piercing. It's not. The amount of money that you've spent getting, if you want to do it right at home, which there's no right way of doing it, because you shouldn't do it at home, and you get clamps, and you get the needles, and you get jewelry, and, you know, hopefully wipes, and you are clean about it, but regardless, you're still not going to be clean enough for, like, you know, not to risk getting an infection, because you'd be crazy surprised how quickly, like, you know, I think Ethan said at the beginning of the video, I'm going to wash my hands again. But then he picks up the packet and he opens the packet. You don't know where that packet's been. It's been in some dude's warehouse probably for ages, collecting dust. There could be anything on that. And then you're opening it and then piercing someone with it with no gloves. You know what I mean? There's so many little tiny details that you have to pay attention to especially, I think people are a little bit more aware of how germs are spread, how easily, because of everything that's going on at the moment. But it's still not clinically, like, you know, you're not clinically trained to be able to get it to the point where you're completely safe, you know, and you're not risking anyone's health. And it's like, if you're buying all of that stuff and hopefully buying gloves and everything else, by the end of it, you've probably spent like at least half, if not 3/4 of what you would spend getting it pierced by a professional. So why not just go and get a professional to do it, who can give you advice, who can give you aftercare instructions, so you don't get an infection, that if anything does go wrong, you've got the, you know, confidence to know that if if it has gone wrong, you can contact them and get advice, and they'll help you out with it. You know, like why would you risk it? I don't get it. That's why I wanted to make this video. I know, like I say, it's not gonna be up very long, but enough people are gonna see it for them to like risk doing it themselves from that advice, and I don't think that's clever. So hopefully you've learned something from what I've said as a, you know, trained piercer. They're just the little things that I wanted to comment on. There's so many other things. I mean, like I said, that's not the worst video that I've seen of home piercings. I just don't get why they would risk that. But yeah, hopefully you learned something from this video. The 2 videos that I've done on it now, I think it is. If you have, cool, like the video, subscribe if you're not subscribed already. I probably will do a few more reaction videos to piercings because, like I say, I am a trained piercer, so I have a lot to say on them. But yeah, that's it for this video. There's a fly flying around and it's really annoying me, so I'm gonna go, and I'll see you guys in the next video.